All right, so I'm going to have about 6 little short videos, 5 to 6, about this first level feat analysis that we've set up, explaining some of the choices that were made. But one thing that is definitely worth mentioning is how to keep your directories organized. And this has a little bit to do with how feat works and just general good practices. So, firstly, if you run a feat more than once without changing the directory name, FSL will not overwrite a feat directory. So that's actually really nice because if you just did something by accident, you're not going to lose your old work. But maybe you want it to. And when we get along to the point where we're looking at the design.fsf file, there actually is a little hidden place in there, if I recall correctly, where you can change the flag to overwrite your feat directories. But personally, I wouldn't. This is fine. What it does do is it creates these plus directories. So if you originally had this one and you ran the same analysis, or at least you ran a second analysis with the same output name, it's simply going to add a plus. And then if you do it a third time, you'll have a plus plus. And personally, I find this very messy and confusing. If you were to look back at your work years later, you have no idea what's different between all these analyses. So I hate the plus directories. I'm glad that this is the default, that this is what it does. But in terms of keeping your things organized, having a plus in the file name tells you nothing, or not file, it's a directory name, doesn't really tell you anything about what's in that directory or what you did. So I actually, when I teach a formal class on this, I deduct points if I see these plus feat directories anywhere. It's just bad practice. I highly recommend you do not rename or move your feat directories. I especially stress do not move your feat directories or rename them. Okay, both of them. I'll explain why. One of the beauties of this, SPM's similar. If you look on the spm.mat, you can kind of trace your way back to the previous stages of the analysis. FSL, you can do the same thing. It has a design.fsf. It's just a text file, but it shows everything that was loaded into that analysis to perform the analysis. And again, 5 years from now, if you need to check what you did, you want to see what files from the level 1 analysis, which contrast you input into a level 2 analysis, you're only going to be able to trace that backwards if you haven't moved anything. And unfortunately, I've had times where I was doing power analyses or different things like that, and whatever the person named or their group level directories didn't make sense to me, and the only way I'd be able to make sense would be to trace the analyses back to the level 1 to look at the level 1 contrasts. And they moved things, so I wasn't able to do it. So if you do this, you're breaking the links between the stages of the analysis. Also, you can break the HTML links as well. This is less of an issue now. Most of the HTML output refers to files that aren't, they're linked by the current location of the directory. Okay, so if I do need to rerun an analysis, I delete the old analysis and then I rerun it, and this avoids the directories with the plus. If it's a first level analysis and you rename it before you run any of the higher level analyses, you're probably going to be fine, but it's just best to not get in the habit of renaming the directories because it can mess things up. So to keep it simple, just don't rename them or move them. See, it was short. It's not even 5 minutes. So that's it. I'm sure there are tons of other tips on keeping your directories clean and organized. Just following a consistent structure within the lab you're in is a huge help. Please join the Facebook group or the Tumblr or Twitter or all three. And there will be another video shortly covering another topic dealing with the first level feats. Thank you.